Without community, there is no liberation. I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood. Poetry is not only dream and vision, it is the skeleton architecture of our lives. It lays the foundations for a future of change, a bridge across our fears of what has never been before. The difference between poetry and rhetoric is being ready to kill yourself instead of your children. I learned so much from listening to people. And all I knew was, the only thing I had was honesty and openness. Unacknowledged class differences rob women of each other's energy and creative insight. Oppressed peoples are always being asked to stretch a little more, to bridge the gap between blindness and humanity. It is not the destiny of Black America to repeat White America's mistakes. But we will, if we mistake the trappings of success in a sick society for the signs of a meaningful life. Your silence will not protect you. Life is very short, and what we have to do must be done in the now. We must wake up knowing we have work to do and go to bed knowing we've done it. When I dare to be powerful to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. I urge each one of us here to reach down into that deep place of knowledge inside herself, and touch that terror and loathing of any difference that lives here. See whose face it wears. Nothing I accept about myself can be used against me to diminish me. And at last you'll know with surpassing certainty that only one thing is more frightening than speaking your truth. And that is not speaking. You cannot use someone else's fire. You can only use your own. And in order to do that, you must first be willing to believe that you have it. If you can't change reality, change your perceptions of it. We do not need to become each other in order to work together. Once you start to speak, people will yell at you. They will interrupt you, put you down and suggest it's personal. And the world won't end. How much of this truth can I bear to see and still live unblinded? How much of this pain can I use? Next time, ask, what's the worst that will happen? Then push yourself a little further than you dare. Survival is the greatest gift of love. The machine will try to grind you into dust anyway, whether or not we speak. What better way is there to police the streets of a minority community than to turn one generation against the other? Each one of us is here because somebody before us did something to make it possible. We are all more blind to what we have done to what we have not. For Black women as well as Black men, it is axiomatic that if we do not define ourselves for ourselves, we will be defined by others, for their use and to our detriment. We can learn to work and speak when we are afraid, in the same way we have learned to work and speak when we are tired. As a Black lesbian mother in an interracial marriage, there was usually some part of me guaranteed to offend everybody's comfortable prejudices of who I should be. I am not free while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are very different from my own. It is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. Revolution is not a one-time event. We have to consciously study how to be tender with each other until it becomes a habit, because what was native has been stolen from us. The love of Black women for each other. I write for those women who do not speak, for those who do not have a voice because they were so terrified, because we are taught to respect fear more than ourselves. We've been taught that silence would save us, but it won't. When we create out of our experiences, as feminists of color, women of color, we have to develop those structures that will present and circulate our culture. Every woman I have ever loved has left her print upon me, where I loved some invaluable piece of myself apart from me. So different that I had to stretch and grow in order to recognize her. And in that growing, we came to separation, that place where work begins. Some women wait for themselves around the next corner and call the empty spot peace. But the opposite of living is only not living, and the stars do not care. The failure of academic feminists to recognize difference as a crucial strength is a failure to reach beyond the first patriarchal lesson. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. If I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. Any discussion among women about racism must include the recognition and use of anger. This discussion must be direct and creative because it is crucial. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. If our history has taught us anything, it is that action for change directed against the external conditions of our oppressions is not enough. I am deliberate and afraid of nothing. Change is the immediate responsibility of each of us, wherever and however we are standing, in whatever arena we choose. Even the smallest victory is never to be taken for granted. Each victory must be applauded. Unless one lives and loves in the trenches, it is difficult to remember that the war against dehumanization is ceaseless. Only by learning to live in harmony with your contradictions can you keep it all afloat. Tomorrow belongs to those of us who conceive of it as belonging to everyone, who lend the best of ourselves to it, and with joy. Well, I do not want to be tolerated, nor misnamed. I want to be recognized. In our work and in our living, we must recognize that difference is a reason for celebration and growth, rather than a reason for destruction. There is no thing as a single-issue struggle because we do not live single-issue lives. The learning process is something you can incite, literally incite, like a riot. I have a duty to speak the truth as I see it, and share not just my triumphs, not just the things that felt good but the pain, the intense, often unmitigated pain. And when we speak we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent we are still afraid. So it is better to speak remembering we were never meant to survive. Poetry is not a luxury. It is a vital necessity of our existence. The quality of light by which we scrutinize our lives has direct bearing upon the product which we live, and upon the changes which we hope to bring about through those lives. We cannot continue to evade each other on the deepest levels because we fear each other's angers, nor continue to believe that respect means never looking directly nor with openness into another black woman's eyes. Oppressors always expect the oppressed to extend to them the understanding so lacking in themselves. It is not difference which immobilizes us, but silence. We are African women, and we know, in our blood's telling, the tenderness with which our foremothers held each other. You are the one that you are looking for. I had made contact with other women while we examined the words to fit a world in which we all believed, bridging our differences. I have to believe that caring for myself is not self-indulgent. Caring for myself is an act of survival. We must be the change we wish to see in the world. Sometimes we are blessed with being able to choose the time, and the arena, and the manner of our revolution, but more usually we must do battle where we are standing. I am who I am, doing what I came to do, acting upon you like a drug, or chisel, or remind you of your meanness as I discover you in myself. I realize that if I wait until I am no longer afraid to act, write, speak, be, I'll be sending messages on a Ouija board, cryptic complaints from the other side. Each time you love as deeply as if it were forever. Pain is important, how we evade it, how we succumb to it, how we deal with it, how we transcend it.
Congratulations on listening to these powerful quotes. Subscribe to our channel for access to all our transformational videos. One of the strongest ways to bring about the life that you want is by writing down your affirmations. Take a moment to post your affirmations in the comments below. Then comment on at least 2 other people's affirmations and impressions. Give hope and encouragement to others as we become one people.